I told her quite a story, said I love her forevermore. But the trouble is I tell the same old story to every girl that walks through the door. Is it the slickster talking at your money?
I'm actually speechless. Like, for those of you not here with us right now, everybody that's listening right now, this is take two because we had a technical malfunction when we did this the first time around. I can tell you, like, this is the corniest thing. Like, there was a question before. There's no question. By far, the corniest thing ever. Jive Soul Bro. No. That's going. That's going. If I'm feeling good, it may go at the end of this episode.
I made like an audible call. We were doing the whole episode saying in headphones, and as soon as we reached for headphones, unplugged something.
And my episode for me is being sponsored by Pepsi and Crown, and this right here, I feel some kind of way. I am Wood, my co-host, or host number 1A, and because we're both 1A, so
top heels and faces in the territory,
and both at the same time, at the same damn time. Suave Burgundy.
You stay classy, internet.
What's happening, man?
I'm Suave Burgundy. I'm good. You know what I'm saying? We come bearing gifts of you know.
It's been roughly a month since we've done a podcast. I think we've done a pretty good job so far. Like the prediction show I think was pretty cool.
Yeah.
The post WrestleMania show, I think
that's the one. From everyone who's made it to that point, that's the one I get the vibes off of.
Here's the problem, though. Yeah. There were some things that were said that we can't remember. And that's where you come in at. I mean, you got to hit us up on the socials, on BrokenpencilBC on everything, including gmail.com if you want to contact us. There is a lot going on that we said in episode 1, but being that episode 1 and 2 are both 2 hours each, we're not going to go back and like listen to it, dissect it.
I did. I don't know what I'm looking for. I'm just listening for.
If you listen to hours, like 1 and 2 back to back on 1, they go back to hour 1 and 2 back. You're like, somebody said something, but you're not going to go back and listen to episode 1 to figure out exactly what was said. So anyway, that's where you come in at. You know, we critique us.
Keep us honest.
Yeah. For those of you in the DFW area or traveling to the DFW area for NXT Live at the Southside Ballroom. Just outside of downtown Dallas, just north of where we're broadcasting from, which is the Sportatorium parking lot. We will be out there, and I believe.
Shout out to the Red River Liquor Store.
Hey, shouts out to Fuel City Tacos.
Yeah, we're gonna have some of those that night.
Hopefully, one of these days we can broadcast from Fuel City. That's the
safest idea you've ever had.
Who cares, man? They're my people.
I mean, this is true. I'm just saying. I mean,
we might turn that into a club event.
I don't want to turn into I don't want to end up in the crossfire. But I mean, hey. I mean, there's cattle in the back. They saved those cattle from committing suicide. That happened. They're gonna put them on a lingua taco. What are you saying? They even
I don't eat beef, so I don't have beef.
It's true. I'm just saying. Ain't nobody saved nobody.
Yo, we're not going to go 2 hours there. I'm going to let you know that up front.
This will be a television title match with TV time remaining.
With TV time remaining.
You know what I'm saying? We in here. We have talked amongst the brain trust, that being us, and we have made a conscious decision to bring these to you at a more convenient and proactive pace. Speaking
of brain trust, just planting a quick seed here. Rumor has it we may have our first guest on our next episode, which will be probably within the next 2 weeks. Today is Sunday, April 29th, and we're chilling, like I said, for this.
I forgot my bells off in the room.
You forget. Okay, so we this is totally live. We're at the Sportatorium parking lot. We had a run-in from a random.
Run-in.
Yeah, so, yeah. But, yeah, we may have our first in-studio guest in about a week from now. Maybe a little bit longer than a week from now. But
we got to do the Cinco de Mayo Latin Super Show.
If any of you have anything, any pictures, any music ideas, any themes that you want to hear, interest themes, even storylines that ring a bell, hit us up, BrokenpencilBC@gmail.com, at BrokenpencilBC on everything.
Facebook, Instagram, all of that stuff. But yeah, we're going to be at a pretty decent pace. Like, from what we discussed, there will be, more frequent recording and posting, but
let's talk about that too. We originally, the plan was that we were going to broadcast the week after any major WWE pay-per-view.
Right.
That is until we did the pre-show, post-show, and then looked at the WWE pay-per-view schedule for the rest of the year and realized that it's way lighter than it's been in the last 5 years.
Right. And then some of the feedback we got from episodes 1 and 2 kind of dictated, you guys might want to pick the pace up on this.
Which, to Barry Horowitz,
pat yourself on the back. Shout out to Diamond Dallas Page, self-high five.
Already. Apparently we're doing pretty good out here in these streets because y'all love us and we love you too. So thank you for the positive feedback.
Love you.
Shouts out to Bruce Pritchard.
What up, though?
Hopefully he'll be a guest here soon too. That's going to be a fun one. When we're going to book him, I'm putting that in the air.
We should shoot an email and kind of see, let's test the waters.
I got a feeling that's going to happen real soon.
I'm with you.
And that's going to happen. At any rate, yeah, so we're going to be doing this more often than we originally had planned, but that's all because of you, so thank you for your support.
Next week, Cinco de Mayo podcast and backlash reaction.
Now, it also will not be a weekly thing, so this is just random. There's some things that's just happened, so this is just random. So
we have a scheduling window that gave us the opportunity to drop these as close as they are together right now.
So, speaking of scheduling, we had the Greatest Royal Rumble, which
glorified house show.
Let's talk about.
Nah, it was dope, though.
The series of tweets that you and text messages that we had Friday morning prior to 11 a.m. Central Time, which led me to believe that there was absolutely no emotional attachment to anything we were going to see during the Greatest Royal Rumble. And I dare say I have watched that thing twice. Once while trying to work, like out here and about, trying to pick up family from undisclosed locations.
Unknown.
USA. Every time I have a break in my normal life, I had the network on. And at one point, I had my phone on split screen watching WWE Network on one side, text message thread between you and proposed special guest on the other side, and we were going hard as a mother.
Yeah, this was my pre-draft party. My pre-draft party was watching the Greatest Royal Rumble. Then I had to run some errands, so.
I wish we had time for another podcast on the draft. That's another conversation. But hey, just wait till September. We'll be talking about football too.
We should just do a whole separate.
That may happen. That may be like a 2-pack. Like we may drop a wrestling podcast and then come back and talk about how we feel about the first week of our beloved Dallas Cowboys.
My brother has been in my ear about something like that, so this would be a great opportunity.
Bring him over. We can do this. Man, let's talk about the elephant in the room on the Greatest Royal Rumble though. The casket match between Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. There was a burial.
Yes, there was a burial. I was hoping that it wouldn't happen like this. And here's the problem. That match was not bad at all. It was more competitive than WrestleMania. It made more sense than WrestleMania. The finish was fantastic. But when you're coming off of what happened at WrestleMania, you just buried the future of your company.
When Michael Cole has to save the finish of a match.
I saw Meltzer on Twitter say it was a botch.
Let's be clear.
Yeah.
Dusty Rhodes is smiling wherever he may be right now.
He's smiling about AJ and Shinsuke's finish.
Nah. Yeah. He can't be smiling more about that finish than he did about Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar.
Like, this was...
I didn't want to talk about Roman Reigns at all. That finish actually made him relevant again. And I hate to say it's a negative because anything that comes from this...
It was a cool visual. It gives him a leg to stand on, no pun intended, about going forward and possibly getting another match, which people don't want to see for a third time.
That will be a boo fest.
Because what do you do? Like, you went public ass kicking, then you went overseas cage match. What do you do?
That's 0-3 by my calculations. Am I correct?
Yes, that is 0-3.
All right, so there's absolutely no reason.
0-4 if you count SummerSlam.
0-4. Okay, so there's absolutely no reason we need to count. Like we need to look forward to a match.
His losses, and I want good things for Roman Reigns because I don't have any problem with him. I'm not the majority of the IWC.
I still think that
quicksand.
Not just that. I still think that dynasty angle is coming. I still think.
I just don't think you get as many people in it as we're advocating to put in the group. Like, you're going to have to cut some people out. And to get some heat on it, you're going to have to trim that group to a 4 or 5 max.
But in my humble, honest opinion, I think the only way it works is with all the parties involved.
It's too many of them.
It's a lot. It's a lot. There's levels to this.
They can't all fit in a car. You can't put them all. You just being real. Like, the Samoan Dynasty angle, as we have booked it, in our correspondence off the air, kind of puts everybody who's kin to each other in the Samoan family in one group.
In one way or another.
Yeah. Basically puts them, if they're all on the same show, or it would only work if they were like Bullet Club or like The Club. Like, they deal with each other and they're on separate shows, but when they all get together, they all crew. We'll talk about The Club here in a second too. But I don't think you can book them as a faction when they all can't fit in the card for an episode of Ride Along.
Unless you,
because you got both Usos.
Yep.
You got Naomi.
Yep.
She's married in the family.
Yep.
You got Nia Jax.
Yep.
You got Roman.
Yep.
Give me some more. That's 5. That's the card right there.
That's just who's on the roster currently right now.
Yeah. Then you got
by
Gorillas of Destiny in Japan.
So then we go into fantasy world. We bring in Joe just because of a lineage of some sort to Samoa. We bring in Joe. We also bring in the God from New Japan.
You got The Rock, who would make spot appearances.
The Rock would be the godfather of the whole operation.
It's too many of them. You can't. Somebody has to get cut loose. Then they got
Alpha and Sika are still very much, charismatically active.
Rikishi's still functional.
Oh man,
you got one down in NXT.
We got Haku, who's the father of the God.
There are too many.
Do we rent a 15-passenger van?
You can't. You need a bus. You need a tour bus for them. Which that would be a cool part of the angle.
That would be fire.
The DX tour bus. But no, you're gonna have to get to a hot 5. Man. Oh, forgot Tamina.
So
there's too many of them, bro.
Yeah. Yeah,
we're going to spend a whole hour just trying to remember all of them that are related. No. Just, you give me 5
just for the
on one show, and then I'm running.
And let's be clear, to our knowledge, Joe is not related to them, but just for the sake of the whole angle, I think it would work.
Somebody's got to fight him, so you can't put Joe in there with him. But they tout him as the one that's not related to him. I'm
still thinking that also doing something similar to the Dynasty angle, along with a Shield a la Freebirds, where you divide and conquer.
You can't have both.
That to me, that's the new thing that needs to happen just to make it different, because it's never happened before. Where you had one member of 2 different factions who still waved both flags successfully and concurrently.
It's called set tripping. That's why it doesn't happen, because it's called set tripping.
Say fool, hey, hold up, man.
People die every day trying to fly multiple flags. No, that's why it can't happen. Stop trying to get somebody head bust. But no.
Oh man.
I'm. You could save him with that, but the reality of what we have going on is this: you have booked him into a pit of quicksand.
So, all right. So, let's get off of Reigns. So, this is a whole show that we would dedicate to this man.
Great Royal Rumble. Keep going.
So, and we still got another show in a week to talk about it because we got like we still have a Raw, we still got SmackDown coming up, and there.
You got a whole nother ass kicking for Roman coming because I don't know how you're gonna book him to like squash.
We haven't even talked about the fact that he got verbally lambasted by Samoa Joe 2 weeks in a row.
Man, Joe came back serving. He's my favorite on the entire roster right now. But he was my favorite on the roster before his last injury. But still, he came back serving hot plates.
The only thing missing from this Joe and the Joe from TNA with the face paint is the razor blade or the knife.
And nobody's kidnapped him in a white van. Did they ever explain that? He just got
there was a lot of things that haven't been explained. And we'll double back on a couple of things that have been explained too. Like the belt collector losing his belt in TNA, or in Impact, or whatever the hell they call themselves. That's another conversation too. What are your takeaways from the Greatest Royal Rumble?
Titus World Slide.
I was hoping you would not go with that first.
World Slide?
But by far, and Michael Cole coined this, and I thought about it, I was like, there's no way he's going to try to brand this from the headset. And my God, not only did he brand it from the headset, it's actually probably pretty damn true. John Morrison, even Kofi Kingston, the things that they have done in Royal Rumbles pale in comparison to the Titus World Slide.
So it's tweeted out Titus World Slide. I mean, it's he's going to be famous for that the rest of his life.
We saw this before with a wheelbarrow involved in a show that nobody watched.
Oh, was this the original NXT?
The original NXT before it was an organization.
Yeah, when it was just a show.
It was a talent competition.
It was a reality.
It was a reality talent competition, and he tripped going around the ring.
It's like American Gladiators.
Yeah, it's
awful. Like, come on, man, don't handle people like that.
I've never when you take a L and you win.
Let me tell you something, Shawty. For life. You put me on that show, Shawty, for life.
Straight up.
Shawty. Put me on that show trying to carry a keg for life. It's over with. Straight up. I'm tell you what.
Hey, man, hold up. Bond number 9 is my favorite scent.
All of that stuff. But yeah, I do remember that. So, but still, like, Titus just has some of the best worst luck ever. Because he can always do something hilarious, but it's not intended.
What he thought was hilarious actually cost him a huge paycheck a couple of years ago.
Yeah, grabbing Vince by the arm. And then just like strong arming Vince on camera. Which is, in theory, if he had done it anywhere else at any other time, it would have been hilarious. It had just been one of those things.
Wrong place, wrong time.
You caught him when he was trying to be serious and you ribbed him on camera and got sent home because of it. And missed out on some money.
At least that's what the web has shown.
Yeah, the IWC had spoken about that.
Yo, so Nakamura AJ, how you feel about the progression of that for you?
I'm cool with it. I feel like I know things are working well when people in my house that are wrestling fans solely because of me are watching the product and laughing at things and noticing changes. Like my wife saw Nakamura say he didn't speak English and she erupted in laughter.
People who I know that don't even watch wrestling, I showed that to. The very first time he did it on SmackDown, they died.
No, speak English.
No, English.
English. You're not going to have me out here. No, I'm not going to participate in your brand of prejudice and racism. But, yeah, I'm good with his turn. I'm glad he's healed. Now that it's happened, it's giving him something to do. He gets to work a little more. He gets to exhibit more of the strong style. in the ring.
I like more so than the fact that they get to build to something very, very good here in the next couple of months. The fact that we now have a possible way to make relevant the club.
Do you get the Wrestle Kingdom style dream match at Backlash?
At Backlash, I don't think so.
Because that would make 3. The 3rd is here at Backlash. So I'm.
But do you still count the Greatest Royal Rumble though?
Yes, because they promoted it.
Maybe so. They also promoted a house show at Madison Square Garden. They also promoted a house show in Japan.
Wasn't on the network though.
The Japan show was on the network.
I mean, I'm saying
the Madison Square Garden show was on the network
for them.
Right.
For
okay.
AJ and Shinsuke.
Okay. Those
full-time competitors. This Backlash would make 3 that you have promoted, that have been on the network, that have been treated as real life, no commercials. So, what are you going to do?
The casket match, Undertaker versus Rusev Day. First of all, man.
That's originally where we started.
Man, Undertaker looked phenomenal.
Right.
No pun intended. He looked great out there.
Back knee and all. Back knee, hair extensions, the whole 9.
No, the weave killed it.
Yeah. He sat at dinner the night before with like the straight up Shawn Michaels haircut and come out with full hair extensions.
No, let me
it's not that important, fam.
You about to sweat your weave out, fam.
It is not that important. I want him and Hogan to stop putting hair clips in.
The fact that Hogan actually straightens his hair with a flat iron.
Hogan should have been completely bald 15 years ago.
Sans handlebar mustache and all that. Trademark or not, you gotta go where.
Bruh, you have not been an active competitor in I don't know how long. You can just wear the bandana and be bald underneath. It's okay. And The Undertaker can stop putting in hair clips. Like, we know when you shave your hair off for an angle, that was cool. You could have left the mohawk. You could have went completely bald. You grew enough hair back. You could have went with that. There's no reason for the man weave.
To quote a famous no hairline having fuck, let me be very, very clear. I don't care how much of a badass you are, you lose that when you start putting in man weave. There's no reason for the American badass / the dead man / Bubba Red / Big Evil.
It doesn't add anything.
I don't care if he has lice and has to cut out patches of his hair. You are bad enough to where you can rock that, kill it, and still be the man without having to justify it by putting in hair. 3 years ago, you went full-blown biker mohawk, and this is what we got now?
Yeah.
You look good in the ring. Don't leave the hairstyles to your wife.
Good God, man. That's how you feel?
That's it. That's it. I mean, his wife should have hairstyles, and she has good ones. And
you get it all out. You all right?
I gave the man props. What more can you ask for?
Okay. I mean, I don't need to leave.
New tag champs.
In an anticlimactic sort of way. I just want. Here's the thing.
The belts look like 2 dimes stacked on top of each other. Let's start with that.
Look, the belts aren't changing anytime soon, so you just.
Those are new.
That's what I'm saying. But the belts are not changing anytime soon, so just absorb that. Number one, you're not going to get any change with the belts, unless it's for angle purposes. Secondly, what's gonna make Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy entertaining or get them to another level as far as them being tag champs has nothing to do with what goes on in the ring. It has everything to do with their production value. Certain things have to happen on screen, and I would assume from a pre-tape standpoint to help that Woken Warrior gimmick get over. Because it's different. It's weird.
Weird in a good kind of way because the cult following fans are still paying attention to it. That said, who do we add? There has to be additions. In order for this to work, you can't be those two. Who do we add?
I saw a tweet from Bray Wyatt go out that was kind of interesting. You know how, for those of you that saw Raw last week, with Bo and Axel going around basically begging for a spot.
Nah.
I mean, Bray tweeted out, "They stop pandering and stop begging for a spot and come here."
By the same token, I'm going to say Bray needs to stop pandering for them to be woken. Whoever becomes woken, we will not see it coming.
I mean, what else are you going to do with Bo and Axel though? You see that?
They've been there way too long to not be made by now. They had the opportunity 3 weeks ago.
You're not going to treat them as a serious tag team, which to me, in my opinion, is a mistake. But since you're not going to treat them as a serious tag team, you're going to make them a comedy act. That's where they're going to end up.
They could have been made with the angle when Miz went at them, and Balor and Rollins decided that they were going to take a dump on them too in the middle of the ring.
All you had to do was during the time they were with Miz, book them as a more serious unit. Like they weren't just a comedy. Like they weren't just bag toters. They could have had a small winning streak. They could have gotten a shot at the tag titles. They could have been slightly more serious when it comes to in the ring. They're incredibly entertaining for those who like that as a part of the Miztourage, but just put some edge on them, make them slightly serious, and then you have a tag team that you can add because now you have all these tag teams on Raw.
I'm with that. So who do you think? Like, is the bar done? Do they get the belts back or?
No, they're on SmackDown now.
Oh, they are on SmackDown.
Yeah, and we'll. Matter of fact, you want to?
I didn't even catch that. That just.
Because it was it wasn't an announcement. They didn't show up on the next night. They just did like a pre-tape, like a selfie pre-tape saying they were coming to SmackDown.
So we knew Bray and Matt Hardy were winning those belts. It was a foregone conclusion. Oh man,
it was never in doubt. I think that kind of took away from it too, because there was never a doubt to it.
Yeah, there was no luster to that win at all.
Maybe with a third team, you would have created some intrigue about what was going to happen, but you knew what was about to happen. The Bar was going to SmackDown. They weren't taking the tag team titles with them. Period.
Let's go to the actual Rumble match itself. I'm now 50 men is a lot. It's a whole lot to deal with.
Forearms everywhere.
Wow.
Shoulder blocks and forearms, fam.
It's kind of crazy that we talk about the Rumble match with 50 men. And the only standout points of it were, well, actually, it was really only one. That Daniel Bryan went an hour and 16 minutes.
76 minutes.
An hour and 16 minutes, fam. Now,
why?
Well, because
they're going to treat that as a Royal Rumble record.
Yeah, well, I mean,
say that 3 times fast. Royal Rumble record.
Royal Rumble record. I'm drunk, so I can't do that.
Got him, coach.
There was 2 Royal Rumbles more than 30 men. The 40-man where Alberto Del Rio won after eliminating Santino at the very last, and then this one here.
Forgettable.
We say forgettable.
Yeah. And not because Del Rio won, it was just I don't remember anything about the 40-man.
The only reason I remember why Santino was even at the end was because that's the only part about that I remember, other than the fact that Del Rio eliminated him. That's it.
No, that didn't help me any.
But that was also during a downtime, if you will. At any rate, even Kofi's normal Kofi spot where he saves himself in a dramatic fashion wasn't even as eventful as it should have been for this to be the biggest Royal Rumble in history.
Maybe he couldn't work ringside the way he would normally do in the States just because of where they were. Because remember, we were talking about how the whole front row of the greatest Royal Rumble looked like a Skandar Akbar cosplay.
It was the Saudi Arabian royal family,
which means Choppers was on deck.
Oh, for sure. Let's be very clear. Yes.
See, I sent that text to the group while I was watching it live. They thought I was being a complete racist jerk, and I'm like, no. Watch the film. It looks like a Skandar Akbar cosplay festival. Everybody there was dressed like Skandar Akbar. Come to find out, The commentary team, the Saudi Arabian commentary team, was dressed like Skandar Akbar, which means choppers was on deck. That was royal family security. That means M16s, gold choppers on deck, under the seats.
You get too close, something was bound to happen bad.
So maybe Kofi decided to play it safe and not start a jihad.
I don't think it would have been a jihad. I just think it would have been over for Kofi.
And who wants that?
No one. Not on the live televised pay-per-view. Live televised event.
So there are mandates put in place. Hey, don't do this. Stay away from here. They got live ammunition, fam.
So is there anything else that you want to talk about with the Greatest Royal Rumble?
Can't say that off the top of my head I can think of anything.
I think Cena Triple H. I think they burned the house down early.
They had a really cool.
For the fact that nothing.
I don't want to call it an old timers match because it makes it feel like Slamboree '93 or something.
There was the one thing I absolutely hated about that match was the fact that John Cena pandered for the corporation after the bell.
Fam, what has that man done for the last 15 years?
He's pandered for the corporation after the bell.
Okay. Well, then did you expect it to be anything different when they're in Saudi Arabia for the first time and they out here trying to get this check?
Yes. I could always expect it. Doesn't mean I'm going to get it.
I mean, did you realistically expect it?
Yes. I can always expect it. Because I can always expect it, but that doesn't mean I'm going to get it. Like, if you're going to have a wrestling show, have a wrestling show. I'm sorry, a sports entertainment show.
See, that's the difference. There's your difference right there. Sports entertainment show, that's what you're going to get. A wrestling show, you probably would have got a heel turn and you'd have got Cena cutting full heel promo about how the United States is the greatest country in America.
Which apparently we will never see. Especially when you start the match off with like 50, 11 kids in the aisle.
So I'm saying, you want to put this man's life in danger or you want to have a good time?
Life in danger.
See,
did you
that shit, son? See,
did you not see the Davari brothers in the middle of the ring with the Iranian flag? Because you made mention that we would not see the Iron Sheik show up, and we end up getting.
That was OG Dave's house. That was Outlaw Dave's house to say that.
Hey, well, we didn't get the Sheik, but we did get the Iranian flag. I was not expecting that at all. Ooh, buddy.
I guess they can afford to lose them if something happens, but I didn't think they were going to do that.
Ooh, I'm so thankful that the 52,000 plus in attendance behaved themselves to the point where
we're here to have a good time. Everybody's here to have a good time, you know?
The booze though, they got microwavable heat.
You got almost David Akers at the NFL draft heat.
Ooh, that's it.
I don't know how David Akers. Well, I know how he made it out because let's not even go there. I know how he made it out, but had he been anywhere else and pulled that, he gonna have trouble. No one has any type of sympathy for a kicker.
$25,000 versus your pride being on the line. Which one is going to win?
What situation is this?
Roughing the kicker for the sake of.
I'm taking that every time. Oh, thank God he's not still playing.
He may have got a $50,000 bonus for the bounty for whomever took that.
You can say whatever you want to about bounties and headhunting and all that kind of stuff. If he was still playing, I personally, if I'm playing on the team, I am paying the bounty to decleat him.
Oh no, God!
I want him Sean Taylored. I want that Sean Taylor Pro Bowl hit on him. I want you to decleat this man in public, if you will, and I want you to take him clean to the showers.
Oh man!
Put some grease on his back and slide him off the field.
And on that note, we got a short show. We're taking this break right now.
Hit the break. We're gonna throw in some throwback music.
BrokenpencilBC at gmail.com. BrokenpencilBC on everything, all things social.
Broken Pencil Logic, you can't write this.
You can't write this. Fucks with us, man.
Hey.
The last few shows, last couple of shows, even this one here, you've been hearing some music in the background. Music production by Marco Polo. Marco Polo Beats on everything social. And my man M Slago. M Slago on Twitter and mslago Beats on Instagram. Marco Polo is someone who I've always listened to for a while. And in any of my mix shows I've ever done, there's probably some songs that he's produced that you wouldn't realize he's produced. And he's produced for some of your favorites, some of my favorites. And so I reached out to him, and he gave us the okay, the green light to listen to or to post some of his music. So his latest instrumental project, Baker's Dozen, is on all things streamable right now. Baker's Dozen is like 13 beats that are just banging beats. Slago, just Google him, Mslago, and that man is one of my closest friends in life. Nashville producer representing Dallas, lovely. And he's got a new project coming out with a couple of people later on this year, maybe hopefully even this summer. And we got some things in the works here too. So I think even my man Suave may cop a beat or two here in the future from Slago. My rocket fingers are up. Yo. From Louisville, Kentucky, weighing 225 pounds, the NWA World Heavyweight Champion, the Beast, Dan Severn. Damn.
Like he's listening.
There's no.
I can see them doing the exact same thing. Just rocking the shade through. Like, I ain't really working. He just didn't have any personality. Rock doesn't talk either.
Who needs personality when you have a mouthpiece?
Who needs personality when you can put on a front chancer and send someone to the morgue?
Lesnar has Paul Heyman. Severn had
Super Trooper mustache.
That's the porn stash.
He looks like a
Let's be
serial
clear.
killer.
That's the porn stash.
He looks like a serial killer.
Dan Severn had Jim Cornette in WWE.
We're back on the Broken Pencil Booking Company podcast.
There's always we have to sprinkle some old school in every show. You can't write this.
Broken Pencil Logic. Follow us on everything: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at BrokenpencilBC.
On everything.
BrokenpencilBC@gmail.com. You stay classy, internet.
Yeah, we're
Suave Burgundy.
I'm Wood, and we are live and in living color, baby. Yes,
really
indeed.
Wants to be with me.
And she ain't playing.
Feel what I'm saying.
Nocturnal.
We gonna come back from every break singing "Oh and
All I want it now.
We back from break, and we're gonna try something different. We're gonna put on the timer. You gonna put the timer on?
We're already down 25 seconds.
Oh, okay. Well, check it out. We doing a speed round. So, yeah, quick falls. Did you refresh your drink? That's a little more potent than the last.
Yeah, this is the bedtime here. This is Four Roses with the Pepsi here. My brother-in-law turned me on to Four Roses when he was here a couple of weeks ago, and man, did I need it at the time. I've been on Crown for the whole show up until now, but this one here.
So we need like a brown connoisseurs podcast.
I you know what's crazy? If you ask me on the street, I'm gonna tell you I don't drink brown. I can't tell you that I don't drink brown because all I've had for the last 2 hours is brown.
Yikes!
But I prefer vodka. I'm a vodka connoisseur.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are on a running clock right now, so we're gonna dive into the.
Don't worry. This minute will be burned efficiently and effectively because one of the things we have to talk about doesn't deserve the minute that we just wasted.
Tackling fuel. Superstar shakeup just happened.
Yes,
and we're gonna recap it.
That's not what I was talking about as far as that didn't deserve the hour, the minute, because it did deserve the minute.
We're gonna figure out who won, who changed. First of all, we need to update you on who changed shows.
Hold on. Before we do that,
okay.
by numbers, it looks like from what I've seen, about 17 stars from Raw went to SmackDown, and 19 stars went from SmackDown to Raw. I believe that's I may have it reversed. No. 19 went from Raw to SmackDown. 17 went from SmackDown to Raw. That's a lot.
Yeah. I mean, they account for the third hour. Looks like Raw. It looks as though Raw is going to go more towards tag teams, like we spoke about before. It's almost a 2-to-1 trade-off.
Who won? In your opinion?
SmackDown.
You think SmackDown won?
Yeah.
Oh man, this is perfect. I think. Oh, I guess yes, I'm right. Yeah, I mean, the SmackDown one. Yeah, not perfect.
But you feel like Raw won?
No, hell no. There's no. I mean, let's look at the list. Like, let's run it down.
All right, the following superstars were sent from SmackDown Live to Monday Night Raw during the first night of the Superstar Shakeup.
Run it.
Jinder Mahal.
Who cares? He lost in the curtain jerker for Monday Night Raw, his U.S. Championship to Jeff Hardy.
He's gonna be mid card Mahal. He'll do well. He'll do well on Raw though, but he's gonna be mid card Mahal.
He might be open match Mahal from now on.
Not yet. After SummerSlam, then it's you still gotta get 3 and B on camera together.
Let Captain Obvious mail this one in. We had the Riot Squad in exchange for Absolution.
They just swap them out.
Ray Charles saw this one coming.
Did they? Well, I guess does that mean there's going to be an angle at some point with Absolution and the new GM?
I think
it should be.
I think now that because Sasha's still on Raw for now, right?
Yep.
I think when it boils down to it, we're going to end up with Sasha, Bayley, Charlotte, and Becky on SmackDown.
You want all 4 horsewomen on one show.
Well, I think it's coming maybe next year, but if you
get to that point, then your women's division on Raw doesn't mean anything.
I still think Survivor Series this year will feature 4 horsewomen versus 4 horsewomen.
You can do that at Survivor Series. I don't think you put all of the 4 horsewomen on one show.
Nah, I mean. The only way that happens is if all 4 horsewomen from the MMA world end up in WWE. We already have, 2 of them right now?
They'll do one shot. They can do one shot.
Yeah.
Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn.
They had nothing else left on SmackDown. They main evented and didn't have belts.
True. Sami Zayn.
Sami Zayn is actually...
I'm waiting on...
Has Sami Zayn stepped up or did Kevin Owens take a back seat?
It's a little bit of both.
You think so? I mean, I like the direction. I like the fact that Sami Zayn is finally getting some shine.
I don't feel like Kevin took a step back. I feel like the writing and the direction for Kevin took a step back. Because he was brimming on that top heel in the company stratosphere, and I feel like they dialed him back a little bit.
Let's come back to the stars in a second, as far as the shining stars. Ascension, Mike Bennett, and I'm going to call him Bennett, damn it. I'm going to call him Bennett. I don't give a shit what his name is in WWE. I'm calling him Bennett. Ascension, Mike Bennett.
Oh, yeah.
Mojo Rawley, Breezango, Zack Ryder. No one gives a shit about you.
Tyler Breeze, Natalya, Dolph Ziggler, Drew McIntyre. Ziggler and McIntyre are going to be good.
That's great, man. I hate the comparisons to Shawn Michaels and Diesel, but it's so fitting. But I hate the comparisons because I think they're in a class on their own. They're so dope.
Because McIntyre can work a completely different style than Diesel ever has,
and Ziggler can work any style you put him in front of. If you put in front of him,
you see, we've seen him do everything except straight up fight or shoot fight.
And I got a feeling that might be coming before his career is over. I think he's got 2 more years on this new deal.
I mean, he's a collegiate wrestler, so I mean, shoot fighting isn't that far off for him.
He's got to change his appearance, and I mean that also could be said for someone as simple as Roman Reigns.
He could stand a haircut,
and maybe even a wardrobe change to some degree.
Yeah, it's time again.
Yeah,
but I mean, if you don't have a direction, then why would you change your wardrobe? You got to give him a direction first, and then everything goes with it. Yeah, a haircut and a wardrobe change would do wonders for him right now.
Standouts: Chad Gable, Bobby Roode, Baron Corbin.
Bobby Roode has to be a heel.
Jesus Christ, please turn him heel.
Stop wasting all of this money.
Bobby Roode is probably the best heel we have seen since probably Rick Rude.
Is Mojo Rawley ever going to get an opportunity to?
I don't even want to mention him other than the fact that I've already have.
Mojo's cool. Man, look, here's how you know that writing matters and booking matters. Mojo Rawley is John Cena.
Mojo Rawley got
bars. Mojo got bars. Mojo speaks Arabic.
That's because he's native. That's his native. That's his nationality.
I'm saying he's multilingual. I don't want to say bilingual. I don't know how many languages he speaks.
Man,
former collegiate athlete, plugged in. He's best friends with Gronk. Like,
how do you bring Gronkowski into an angle and then you still don't matter? That's my point. You don't matter.
I don't think that's his fault, though. I think he got pimped for his connect, and he probably should have held on to the plug a little longer until he was in a better position.
I don't think he should be on the main. I think he's a main roster player. I just don't think he needs to be on the main. He's a prime example of someone who would flourish better in NXT if they stopped treating NXT like a developmental.
Maybe for some extra character development, just to turn him loose as a heel, because he's a heel now and he's been cutting good heel promos, but there's not enough TV time to go around.
Right.
Send him to NXT and let him really, really go off the deep end, and then bring him back.
All right, we're up against the gun here. Let's go ahead and land this plane on this whole superstar shakeup thing.
That's the list.
That's pretty much Raw, right?
Yeah, that's Raw.
Now wait, hold on. We cannot skip over the Miz. We cannot. He's the best.
First, we finna do the SmackDown list.
Good. I'm so glad he's first. Reason why I'm glad he's first is the fact that I honestly think, this is a conspiracy theory of mine, I honestly think that the death of Talking Smack happened when he moved to Raw.
He said that too.
I mean, it's obvious. It is obvious. The Miz is the best thing in the company right now, and 5 years ago, you couldn't convince me that this was going to happen to him. He's on the stick, his ring work, his work rate, everything about him just is. If he's not a champion, a world champion by the end of the WWE calendar year, which is WrestleMania of next year, I will be extremely disappointed.
I feel like he can realize that dream on SmackDown. I feel like he can.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think he's instantly a main event player, and I think the IC title picture, also the US title picture, should not be in his future at all.
And that leads us to the next pick.
Jeff Hardy.
Great
pick, great addition to SmackDown. I think the transition to him being the U.S. champion on the first match on Raw for the Superstar Shakeup, I really think that was a great idea. I thought that was a great pick.
He's still working his kinks out from being, out, shoulder surgery, getting his ring wind back together, and hopefully he's using Uber and or Lyft. Come on, Jeffrey.
I think he has it now. The fact that they gave him a belt, I think he sold himself to know that he's there. A sidebar, the fact that he showed no cuffs on Raw, I don't know how I feel about that. Did you notice that?
You brought it up. You say he did it twice. Maybe that's one of those things like no cuffs in the ring. His character's going to be uncuffed. He's not. Look, I'm not going to read too much into it, but, stuff means something. Absolution moved. Then we got my favorite guy on the entire roster, the steal of the Superstar Shakeup, Samoa Joe.
He should be the next free agent. He should be a damn henchman. He should go where he wants to go, whenever the hell he wants to go there. He just needs to go.
I think if you ever ended up unifying titles, that would be the guy you would do it with and go back and forth and just have him fight.
Your window is closing on that for being viable, but yes, it needs to happen. And when it happens, Joe needs to be in that picture quickly.
The returning Big Cass. Don't do that. Don't you treat Colin Cassidy with such disregard. Don't you do that. That man worked hard to come back from a career-threatening knee injury to find a suit jacket that didn't fit. And that man cut a promo, and he kicked Daniel Bryan right in the face.
I want to beat the living shit out of his tailor.
Yeah, whoever put him in that suit just didn't care about
I ain't the flyest dude in the world, but I can get real dope when I need to. I want to slap the shit out of his tailor.
Yeah. So who made that? Like, you could have just...
Who okayed that?
You could have just sent him out in a...
You can make anything. Who okayed that for a 7-footer?
It was a 3-piece suit. You could have left the jacket. Somebody had to see him in Gorilla and say, nah.
If you're 5'8", 185 pounds, yes, that shit works. You're 7 foot tall for 300 pounds.
That
You
man
cannot.
put his fist in the air, and you could see his elbow.
And they whip back down. It's like
a suit jacket on.
The jacket fit for 2 seconds.
If he'd have held his hands like right up at his chest, you wouldn't have seen it. It wouldn't have been as bad. But you can tell there was no long sleeve shirt on underneath it, so it made it even worse. Like you're dressed like a Mormon. No, he's dressed like he's from Amish country.
Let's keep moving.
Shout out to Roadkill.
Amish Roadkill.
Angry Amish Roadkill. Asuka is officially on SmackDown, which I mean
we saw that coming.
We knew that at WrestleMania.
My favorite addition to SmackDown by far is Sanity, because even with Eric Young being the elder statesman for that crew, I think even without Nikki Cross coming up, they can be the catalyst for a stronger tag team division on SmackDown.
They're going to be and should be what the Wyatt family should have been all this time.
What do you do with Eric Young? Do you keep Sanity as a Freebird tag team, or do you make him a singles competitor?
I think you make him a singles competitor. Let him go after Jeff Hardy.
Do you think he deserves a world title run?
Not a world title run. He's too small.
Based on his body of work?
So?
Okay. I actually,
you can give him a match with AJ Styles.
This is one of those times where I sadly agree with you. I want better for him, but man, he has turned it up in the last 5-10 years.
Because I'm using your method of just saying if it's logical, then it's not.
It's against the norm, right?
It's against their creed. Nah, I mean you can get a B-level pay-per-view main event out of it against AJ, but no, not any serious consideration. Why?
The Rubber Bullet Club.
Machine Gun.
Dude, has had a glimpse of Machine Gun.
They working. It's just, here's the thing. They have that good brother mentality, and that might be a gift and a curse.
Chad Too Bad and Tex Ferguson.
They might do better as Chad Too Bad and Tex Ferguson.
Man, if we could see them once every 3 months.
I still need to get their shirt too.
Oh man.
I need that shirt.
And for those of you not hip, we're talking about Gallows and Anderson.
Gallows and Anderson and Southpaw Wrestling is the shirt we're speaking.
There are some they're I think they're legit badasses in the tag team division, and I think if they were able to bring out the New Japan version of of their characters, I think we would see a lot better output from them, other than just being back targets.
They already started out jobbing and taking Kinshasas, so I don't know how well that's going to work. I almost feel like there might be a turn against AJ coming, just because,
I'm figuring
you got to find out something to do with him and turning him full-fledged heel, like not funny heel or not.
I think that might if they try a divide and conquer gimmick, I think they're going to try that with those two, AJ and Finn again.
Not hard-boiled eggs in a jar heel either, like what they did with New Day. That was terrible.
Quick shouts out. You heard the phone chime. That was my man Dre Satch from People Under the Stairs. He's actually checking out BrokenpencilBC.com or .podomatic.com. He's checking out the podcast. Huge wrestling fan.
We're available on Apple Podcast.
Google Play coming this week. Actually, with technical difficulties, but it's coming this week to Google Play. People on the Stairs, huge underground hip hop act from the early 2000s, and Dre was a part of that before they bubbled with Ohm Records, and that's my guy. So appreciate you checking this out, man. Tell us what you think as well, and hopefully one of these days we'll get you on here, because that man can talk. That Dre can talk.
The bar moved to SmackDown.
They needed to, and I mean that we talked about that earlier. We talked about that earlier with the Greatest Royal Rumble. I'm not going to talk about the next one. We'll come back to him in a second.
Oh, R-Truth?
Yeah, we'll come back to R-Truth in a second.
Right
Andrade Cien Almas and Zelina Vega. Zelina Vega is by far the best female talent on the roster outside of Charlotte, and I'm saying that from a look standpoint, from a talent standpoint. The things that she did in TNA that went so far under the radar because she was with TNA, and the fact that she's actually elevating a male talent, like there's something just to be said for a valet. We haven't really seen a good valet since Sister Sherry or Elizabeth. And I think she's really doing that justice right now. That's just my opinion.
I'm with you on that. I like that call up, especially for him going to SmackDown. He speaks Spanish.
She does, but she doesn't have to.
Nah.
She uses her English.
Yeah, because CN doesn't speak a lot of English, I don't think.
Shouts out to Austin Aries. We'll come back to you, Austin Aries, here in a minute, because God, my heart is out to you. But you got a good one of Zelina Vega, my man. Yeah, shouts out, fists in the air for you.
Oh, that's him?
That's him.
That
Thea Trinidad, man, that's his lady.
belt collector.
Oh, yeah, he did. That's on the belt collector.
that is
R-Truth.
Sexy.
It is. I'm sorry. That was terrible.
Control your intake of alcohol.
That has nothing to do with alcohol. That's just my ignorance.
Okay. Well,
R-Truth.
at least he's honest.
The first black NWA World Heavyweight Champion.
Ship sail, bro.
Not the first black World Heavyweight Champion, but the first black NWA World Heavyweight Champion. You have been relegated to being traded to SmackDown, and no one even knew that you're even there. The first segment that you have is being out-rapped by Aiden English, and you, sir, have a single coming out.
I want Aiden English to never rap again.
Fam, R-Truth got out-rapped by Aiden English, and R-Truth has a single coming out. Do you understand how foul this is?
First of all, I don't necessarily have to buy R-Truth as a musician or a rapper or any of that because people know what my day job is. Second of all, I don't want Aiden English rapping on television anymore. I'm tired of it. I gave it a chance. I'm sick of it.
All right, we got 1 minute left on this timer that we self-imposed. So
I want Aiden English not rapping anymore.
Let's see if we can
make sure they hear that.
Let's see if we can pull this off. Aiden English, don't rap no more, ever.
No more.
All right. Impact Wrestling had a redemption pay-per-view, which it was supposed to be a rebranding of the company. It's supposed to be the first pay-per-view post the Alberto El Patron era since he no-showed WrestleMania weekend. That said, notables, Scott Steiner and Eli Drake beat the Latin American Exchange, LAX, for the Impact Wrestling World Tag Team Championship. What the hell is Scott Steiner doing trying to do a Frankensteiner at 50-plus years old and still as big as a damn house?
That's what they paid him for.
He damn near killed himself. They almost paid for a casket.
Look, how many spots does he have left in his repertoire?
The fact that he pulled out the Frankensteiner and he stayed away from it, even when he was at the end of his WCW run, that should tell you something. He never did in
That's
WWE
because he was putting
in the 2000s.
recliner.
Yeah, I like that way better than a Frankensteiner.
This is a long time after that. There's only so many things you can pull out of your bag that's going to get a pop. Besides, cutting a really long promo and doing math.
Your champion, your Impact Wrestling champion, who is the belt collector, loses to Pentagon Jr., and Phoenix was also in the match in the triple threat, which was the makeup for Alberto leaving. So you do the favor to your champion by making him lose to a star who's not even signed to your company. He's part of Lucha Underground.
That doesn't really make a lot of sense.
You got new belts to give to people who aren't even in your company.
That how do you rebrand and it's still called Impact and you're still doing Impact shit?
Get this shit over. That's all I'm saying. When you
Sell
end
the
it,
tape library so I can watch this on the network.
we need this tape library on the WWE network
because good for.
Nobody is buying the global shit, whatever that shit is.
You're employing some people, which is always a good thing, but you're holding up this tape library from being on the network so I can watch it.
We are over the timer. Let me say this. To quote the great Rebecca Hardy, fuck that owl.
I don't even know anything about that owl. I'll be honest. I've been so.
They put the owl on the belt, fam. Fuck that owl.
The Illuminati heavyweight champion.
One other thing before we get out of here. MLW, Major League Wrestling?
Yep.
Court Bauer's organization down in, it's based out of Florida.
Is it?
I believe it's based out of Florida because
Okay.
they did some things in the early 2000s and they rebranded and relaunched.
They house a great deal of my favorite wrestling podcasts.
And yeah, I mean, Conrad Thompson, Bruce Pritchard, Jim Cornette,
Yeah.
Tony Schiavone. Skiavone, if you will.
Skiavone, what up, though?
Yeah, just because we do this doesn't mean that we don't listen to others. I mean, in order for us to be great, we got to listen to the greats, and we consider them to be greats, and hopefully they can consider us as peers of theirs one day. But Tony Schiavone, I don't think he gets the nod he deserves as one of the greatest wrestling commentators ever, because even if you didn't like his work,
he's the voice of a childhood for everyone who's like born in the 80s.
And anybody who had TV in Atlanta, Georgia, Florida, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and even some of you in New York that actually had cable in California, you listened to Tony Schiavone. So to some degree, you liked him. Even a couple of was it a Royal Rumble and a WrestleMania? You listened to Tony Schiavone, and he's back on the microphone after almost 20 years of being gone with MLW. We're going to take a look at the MLW show Fusion on the BN network. So if you have BN Sports, check it out. MLW Fusion. Court Bauer, I hope to have you on the show here soon, because, man, just the fact that you're bringing freshness back on TV in an era where wrestling is taking over. Honestly, if it wasn't for the boom of wrestling, we wouldn't be doing this right now. But we're fans and we love it, which is why we do this. Coming soon. Also, the ended. Do we want to talk about these belts?
We can. So check it out. One of the things we're going to do at the official Broken Pencil BC Instagram account is we've been going back and forth in text messages trying to get a functional list of our favorite championship belts. And yeah, so we want to eventually work our way to a top 10.
But there's so many dope ass belts. Like the new North American Heavyweight Championship for NXT made me go back and look at the old NWA / Mid-South NWA North American Heavyweight Championship. And
so that's kind of what started this conversation, was the fact that the new belt debuted for NXT. And we went back, started looking at different belts, start seeing some designs that are actually pretty dope that have stood the test of time.
We need you to tell us where we're wrong at, because right now, like, if we gun to our head, and I may be speaking out of turn, gun to my head, gun to Suave's head, if we had to pick a belt right now that says the best belt of all time, we would probably both say the Big Block WWF World Tag Team Championship belt.
That's one of my favorites.
That one you cannot
Demolition's World Tag Team titles.
The LOD's World Tag Team title.
Yes, the Hart Foundation's World Tag Team.
The Brain Busters World Tag Team title.
Just saying, like, that's where it's at for me.
When Ric Flair's belt had to be blurred out, that was the belt that was blurred out.
I feel like if I was going to pay for a belt, that would be the belt I would pay for.
And it may be the same belt with different wording, but that belt, it symbolizes what a championship belt should look like. You got some other notables?
I feel like we got to make them go to the Instagram.
All right.
We're going to make a couple posts. We're going to post up some. We need some criteria from you guys to help us create a top 10. Like, they can only be belts up until a certain time, or it can only be belts between X number of federations. We need some criteria. We need some rules and some structure so we can finally come up with the top 10 list of the greatest belts ever.
Help me help Suave, to help Suave help me, to help you help us.
Okay.
BrokenpencilBC at gmail.com. BrokenpencilBC on all things social. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook.
All of it there.
I'm looking at belts. You're looking at Body Ink.
And I was scrolling belts.
Yeah, freak out.
And I found a link.
Wow.
The 60 grand.
I'm looking
wrestling team tattoos. So I'm scrolling.
As we're talking about Body Ink and belts, he scrolls past possibly, arguably the best Intercontinental Championship belt ever tattooed on someone.
Nah, it went hard for that. Like, I can't lie. That's dope.
Yeah, that's ill.
I had never really considered getting a wrestling themed tattoo, but this might change my mind.
There's some bad ones in here too.
Hey,
And by bad, I mean terrible. Oh, that thumb action is dope with the Ultimate Warrior mask.
Pause.
Wait, what?
Thumb action with the Ultimate Warrior. Pause.
You can't say that with the dead man.
I don't care who it is.
Yo, that Pabst Blue Ribbon Stone Cold is the worst tattoo I have ever seen. There are jailhouse tattoos that are better than that one.
It's well done. It's just not well designed.
Well, no.
That
actually is a design that should be on the belt. That's like that's almost a pause. That's
Macho Man is dope as hell.
We'll come back.
We just burning time. Hey, did you see the Andre the Giant documentary on
The
HBO?
Andre documentary on HBO is phenomenal. I think for what it was, for those who had never understood or experienced anything, Andre, that was a great introduction to Andre. And there's a few things that I would like to have seen more of, but there's only so much you can do in an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes. And I mean, the man lived 46 years, and to condense it into that amount of time and to do what you did with that storytelling wise, I'm actually happy with it. That's one I could watch again, to be honest with you.
Okay. If you had to pick, who would the next documentary be on?
Ooh, so we saw a 30 for 30 on Flair.
Unlimited budget. Yeah, okay. Grandfather rules in effect. If they've already had one in the last 2 years, no. So Andre's off the table, Flair's off the table. You can pick anybody, unlimited budget. No one's going to turn you down for an interview. You get all the story you want. Who do you want?
Man, for good, bad, and ugly, we kind of talked about this earlier before the show started today. For good, bad, and ugly, I want to see a documentary on Cowboy Bill Watts. Okay. There's a story of a wrestler, athlete turned wrestler, turned wrestling promoter whose organization transcended a national scope of what wrestling should have been when it was only a regional territory, in an attempt to turn national while he he self-imploded his company because of a personal issue that he had, which led to a divorce. And if there was any organization that bred more talent that go to Vince, it most likely would have been Mid-South / UWF.
Okay.
Like, let me give you a list of talents that came through there. Junkyard Dog, Butch Reed, Jim Duggan. And Butch Reed and Jim Duggan were a tag team known as the Hacksaws. They were both Hacksaws in the same organization, and they only wrestled as a tag team maybe a handful of times. One Man Gang, Kamala, Terry Taylor, Ted DiBiase, Skandor Akbar, Iceman King Parsons, the Rock and Roll Express, the Guerrero Brothers, Midnight Express, the Fantastics. Do I need to continue? Dick Murdoch, Dirty Dick Slater, Big Bubba Rogers.
Right.
The man who built that organization, to be honest with you, was Dr. Death Steve Williams, Jake the Snake Roberts, Steve Regal at 19 years old. Now you know him as Lord William Regal. Who? It was somebody else I'm missing there. That's big time. Nature Boy Buddy Landell came through there. Since it was part of the NWA, of course you saw Ric Flair there.
Like, you have a huge list, and it completely justifies why a documentary on him would be watchable. There are some things that he has personally done, and
that's why I said good, bad, and ugly.
Yeah. I'd watch it, and then I'd be, like,
if I had $1 to give to it, I would cater to the production of said documentary.
Okay.
Just because
that was the question. You had an unlimited budget. You could do it on whoever you want.
Yeah. I would dare say Bill Watts. I just hate that one of the major players probably the most major player for that organization. Let me for fans who are not aware, yes, this Mid-South UWF is on the WWE network, but when Muhammad Ali jumped into professional wrestling, as far as a personality, you know him first from WrestleMania. the first appearance he had in professional wrestling was in New Orleans at the Superdome because of Cowboy Bill Watts and Jim Ross at Mid-South. So that alone shows you the clout. The greatest boxer pound for pound of all time, arguably, showed up at a regional wrestling organization ran by the man. I'm talking about Bill Watts. I'm not championing this man at all. Don't get it twisted. I just think that's probably the best story that needs to be told that we haven't heard. Ernie Ladd was even there first.
You answered the question absolutely the way I asked it.
Yeah.
Like, so you have no reason to apologize for anything.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm not. I have no apologies given.
Our personal feelings about the guys, just like, drive them off the road.
Yeah.
I was thinking about who I would pick for this same question, and it's kind of hard when the network normally does these probing introspective documentaries on all these different people. I felt like a Hogan one would be really good.
And what way would it be produced?
But you got to do it HBO style. It's not a WWE documentary. It's an HBO style, same way they did Andre. So they're doing origin. They're doing everything. It's an origin story. There's some contribution from WWE, but it's not a WWE slant on anything. So you got to tell everything.
I would probably like a Showtime style where there's no holds barred.
That's pretty much what I'm looking for.
Okay,
somewhere between Showtime and HBO. So after I kept thinking, Undertaker would probably be really good for something like that. Thing is, I kept thinking about it, and all these guys were attached to WWE. You know whose documentary would be shit? Memphis Jerry the King Lawler.
So the biggest, I think honestly, the only reason why we haven't seen that documentary is because I don't know if you've heard these stories now, but the tape library from Mid-South or Mid-Southern, which turned into Continental, which turned into the USWA, which was just revered as just quote unquote Memphis wrestling. To save on money, they would record over the week prior to or weeks prior to
the corner store shit.
Yeah, so
if nobody get shot today, we're gonna record.
Yeah, we're gonna record over it, right? So
come on, man.
So the only pieces of the library that they have are people who videotaped it when they were rich enough to buy VHS recorders back in the late 70s, early 80s. And then you had, I believe it was Corey Macklin, who was a partner with Jerry Lawler, who believes that he owns half of, like 50% of the library, and he says no for it going to the network. So they're at odds.
What are you doing while you're just sitting on? Like, what are you gonna do?
It's a gold mine. Unless you're going to create a new network, you're losing money by the day.
Just cut the check, bro. Have them cut the check. Direct deposit. You ain't even got to go stand in line at the bank and enjoy your hard work.
And understand this: the late Lance Russell was, he was a fixture in Memphis TV. So was Dave Brown, and you can. Dave Brown was a weatherman on the same channel that he was commentating wrestling on with Lance Russell. You can literally go on TV and say, "Hey, Memphis, who has episodes X, Y, and Z of Memphis Wrestling from WMC TV on Saturdays at 10:30 a.m.?
You better hurry up because those people are starting to die off.
Soon, if they haven't already.
Quick and easy.
Do it.
But yeah, Jerry Lawler all through Memphis. You can even go up to where he did Man on the Moon. You can go up to the Man on the Moon movie. But I don't need any WWE input. I want Memphis.
I would do for Jerry, for all things that matter, I would do
down Jerry Lawler.
I would do up until about 92, 93 when he brought in Isaac Yankem to WWE because
I don't want none of that.
No. Up to that point because my grandmother lived 30 minutes from Memphis. So on spring breaks and summers when I would go visit her, I would tune in on Saturdays to watch Memphis wrestling.
Okay.
And there were storylines that actually mattered. The Jeff Jarrett, when he left and came back to Memphis, those things mattered. When Austin Idol would pop up and do Monday night show, there you go. He would come back and get fireballed by Jerry Lawler just for old time's sake.
Whoosh.
That happened on Saturdays, and you would see it from the previous Monday on the following Saturday. There was no bones about it. 50 people in the studio, half of them are kids, and you like looking at this live on a Saturday morning. It didn't get any better than that.
That's what I want. I want that's the documentary I want made.
Yeah. So Yeah, we do this, man.
It's the go home signal.
How do you end it?
BrokenpencilBC at everything. That's Instagram, Twitter,
Gmail.
yeah, Facebook, and Gmail. We'll be back after Backlash.
A little over a week from now.
Cinco de Mayo episode. So both of us will be loaded. For we will be loaded. Make sure you tweet us with all of your suggestions for Latin American superstar themes to be laced throughout this show.
To our guests, you will be listening to this episode. You know who you are. If you are coming, you need to show up. If you don't show up, we are going to bury you with this pencil. Know that. That's a kind of promo?
Yeah, you do.
On the OG?
Yeah.
Hey.
You are falling out your grab right now. I see now. I see now. You're kind of promo in a heel territory.
There's some courage there.
God, man. Pencil count. Time's up.